With the rapidly approaching debut of Fallout Season 2, I think it's just about time that I put together what I can closely estimate as being the timeline of Season 1. Now, I've gone through all of the scenes and done my best to come to a conclusion as to what happens on what day. Unfortunately, the way it has been filmed and the presumably screenwriters and leads intent, it's very difficult to make certain stuff fit in. And so we've got not a lot happening on some days and an awful lot happening on other days. Also, due to the nature of the vault system, I can't put that as going from 1 day to 2 days to 3 days to 4 days or however long, because I can't see any indications within of time change. Closest we have for Vault 33 is the single switch over from nighttime to daytime after the raider attack, and Norman's food deliveries to the raiders. However, we do not know if the food deliveries are 1 a day or 3 meals a day, so I cannot make any estimations as to how long that system is actually taking. So, with that preamble, pre-war scenes. At an unknown date, we have Cooper Howard doing his filming set. From there, we move on to Barbara getting him to do the Vault-Tec sponsorships. Then he gets invited to the communist meeting where he meets Lee Moldava, who I believe was going under the name of Miss Williams. She convinces him to spy on his wife, and doing so he learns about Vault-Tec's plan to drop bombs, which obviously has a psychological impact on him, because it then leads her speech of saying, oh yes, I'm doing all this for the best for Janie. It obviously isn't, and she's just after nuclear war in order to maximise profits. We do not know how long it is between that scene, however, and the very first scene in the show, which is October 23rd, 2077, which is the day the bombs fell. We have Cooper and Janie at a birthday party, bombs drop, and that's the end of the pre-war timeline. Now, after that, we do get shown a little bit of the timeline from technically Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, specifically the timeline of Shady Sands, which ends in 2277. Now, also in 2277 was a fake famine in Vault 33, organised by Lucy's father, who then left the vault in order to recover his children, and presumably at that time blew up Shady Sands. Now, I know that there have been talk of no, that didn't happen. The bombing happened afterwards because then it doesn't fit in with New Vegas. But quite frankly, this show is not canon, so that doesn't matter. That argument is invalid. 2077 is the last date shown of Shady Sands' existence. Next, we go to 2296 on a unknown day, which has Ghoul Howard being dug up in order to hunt Wilzig. As this scene happens entirely separately from everything else that's going on, I cannot figure out exactly where it is supposed to go. Given that it has specifically hunting Wilzig, and later on in the Philly fight you'll find out that all the bounty hunters are all out on this. But that doesn't make sense, because the next scene we have also is triggered by Wildzig, but as far as I can figure, Wildzig isn't actually in play yet. And that is 2296, day -10, which is when the Brotherhood in Boston learn of Wildzig's defection from the Enclave and set sail for Los Angeles in the Prydwen. I've set this as day -10 because during Fallout 4 we see the Prydwen, and its movement speed across the city of Boston is a little bit faster than the running speed of Nate. So I took the distance from Boston to Los Angeles and said, how long would it take to cycle? Because cycling is roughly 10 miles an hour, and that comes out as roughly 10 days. So, day -10. Day -1, possibly before that, again, there's no evidence to give us a definite timeline on this. Lee Moldava enters Vault 32, and the Prydwen arrives in Los Angeles. Day 1. This is where everything starts. This is the Vault 33 raid. Lucy obviously survives and leaves the vault, and it is at that point that Wildzig flees the Enclave. Now I've put that there because in the later scene with him outside the Yaogwai den, he is wearing his white jacket, which he takes off and changes over to something else in order to go into Philly. It's the same white jacket he's seen wearing both leaving the Enclave and on night 1. Speaking of night 1, that is where Lucy and Wildzig meet, but I cannot tie any other event at that point. Potentially that might be when Ghoul Howard gets dug up, but again, as mentioned previously, I cannot get a definitive time on that based on just what's in the show. Day 2. This is where Wildzig dumps his lab coat outside the Yaogwai den. Lucy has been wandering around and meets the guy who's trying to get water out of sand. Maximus and Titus now depart the base. They didn't depart the night before because they arrive at the Bear Den, the Yaogwai den, after Wildzig. So Wildzig event has to happen first, and there is no indication that those two have spent an entire day and night hanging around because Titus wanted to shoot something. This is also the day when everybody arrives in Philly and the Philly fight takes place. This is a unified point, so we know that everyone was here at this time, as well as a later event, and they'll branch off from here. Lucy, of course, flees with Wildzig, and Wildzig dies after taking cyanide. Night 2. Ghoul Howard leaves Philly, and it's specifically shown that it is during the night that he leaves, not the day before. This is also the night that Lucy puts a tracker up Wildzig's nose. On to day 3, Ghoul Howard starts tracking Lucy, coming across Wildzig's corpse and following along. Thaddeus gets dropped off in Philly as well, and Max and Thaddeus both leave Philly. Lucy arrives at the Gulper Lake and is ambushed by Ghoul Howard. Ghoul Howard and Lucy both leave the lake in order to go and find some more ghoul antiviral drugs, and after that Maximus and Thaddeus arrive and pick up Wildzig's head. Now this whole thing with Maximus and Thaddeus has to take place within the course of one day, because the following night, night 3, has Thaddeus making off with Wildsie's head because Maximus revealed who he was and was unnecessarily mysterious about what happened to Knight Titus. Day 4 is where an awful lot of stuff happens. Ghoul Howard takes Lucy via a large diversion to the organ sellers in the Super Duper Mart. Lucy frees the ghouls and gives Ghoul Howard his serum from that event. From there, she then moves off tracking Wildsie's head and comes across Maximus. They help each other out, and they both then travel to Shady Sands. At the same time, Ghoul Howard has gone inside the Super Duper Mart, gotten drunk, passed out, woken up, been kidnapped by the government, kills the two guys, sees Moldaver's poster, leaves, finds Tommy's brother, who I forget because he was literally an off-screen NPC, kills him, learns that he was doing a job for Moldaver, goes to the tin farmers, the guys who are picking up scrap metal, finds out where Moldaver is, leaves, comes across the Red Rocket truck stop and retrieves the dog which Thaddeus had put there during that very day. So you can see there's an awful lot. Because there's no night transitions within those, the closest you have is a night transit going into night transition rather at the end of Lucy and Maximus at the ruins of Shady Sands, and there's no other night sequence during that time. Night 4 is Lucy and Maximus falling into Vault 4, and Ghoul Howard reminiscing about times before the war and how he had to give up his dog because Vault-Tec wouldn't let them into their vaults. It is my theory, that between night 4 and day 5 is the entire events of Vault 4. We don't see any evidence of characters sleeping. Maximus gets given a room, but sits in it, watches some TV, has some snacks, takes a shower, and Lucy just kind of wanders around and gets into trouble. But there's no evidence that I can find within the scenes that any more than potentially a few hours have passed after they woke up in Vault 4. And if they have been in there for a whole day, then it doesn't really make an awful lot of difference, because we go on to essentially day 5. It could be day 6, it could be day 7. If it is day 6 or day 7, then that means that Ghoul Howard has been doing nothing for 2 days, and Thaddeus has been walking on a broken foot for 2 days. Anyway, day 5 is the Vault 4 escapade, as previously said. Lucy and Maximus both leave, depositing his power armor behind because he needs a fusion core to operate it, and there was only one available, and that was Vault 4's. They then move off and track Thaddeus down to the radio station and get the head off of him after he gets a bolt through the neck and thinks he's a ghoul, thus invalidating him from working with the Brotherhood. Maximus gets picked up by the vertebrates that come in to collect him, is flown back to their base where they interrogate him. He gives up where the actual location is, they arm up and leave. Lucy also, with the head, during this one day, has gone straight to Griffith Observatory and hands over the head of Wilzig to Lee Moldava. In theory, again, there could be a day break between these two events. It could be that the returning to the Brotherhood happens in one day, and then there's a day break, and then the next day they set off. Again, the only thing I've got to go on is the actual state and colour of the sky, which doesn't seem consistent from scene to scene, so I'm having to rule it out. That has resulted in the Griffith Observatory fight, in which Lee Moldava dies, Hank McClane flees to Vegas, and well, Lucy and the Ghoul give chase, but Maximus gets promoted for getting punched in the face. And that's essentially it. That is the condensed timeline of the show. Hopefully, when season 2 comes out, they will actually have worked out what's supposed to happen in what day and where, and it'll be a lot easier to figure stuff out, because some of these events, of course, in the show happen in different episodes. Like, for example, the event with the government is in the episode after Lucy recovers Maximus. But as far as I can tell, they happen at the same time, because otherwise he would have had to been either lying outside on the floor for an entire day, or he would have had to have been inside for far more than a day, and then done everything else afterwards before appearing in Griffith Observatory. But, you know, he does have teleportation powers, so I guess anything goes. Anyway, there you go. A very condensed view of what I reckon is the closest we can get to a definitive timeline of what happens when. Thank you very much, and good day.